Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, online and here with us in the hall, and of course, good afternoon for those wherever you are. I would like to start this session by thanking everyone to join us today, this morning, and I would quickly start by introducing myself. I'm Ruth Mkachimenyi. I'm Program Partner for Leaders in Teaching with the Mastercard Foundation. And I have my colleague, Karin, here with us, and Isabel, who is going to be with us online. Again, we have a panel of three presenters that are going to take us through this session. I think without further ado, I would quickly give it to my colleague, Isabel, who is online, to give us the welcome remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Good morning and welcome to our session. This session is titled Innovative Leadership for Teaching and Learning Continuity. My name is Isabel Busa. I will be your virtual moderator today. I, along with Ruth and Corinne, make part of the Leaders in Teaching team at the Mastercard Foundation. I'm a consultant also for the Education and Skills, and very happy to be with you all this morning, although virtually. So today's session promises to be one that is enriching, in collaboration with our Leaders in Teaching partners, VVOB and IAE Rwanda, which also is a CRRP partner, the COVID Resilience and Recovery Program, and Eneza Education, one of the Center for Innovation, Teaching and Learning in ICT Fellows. In collaboration with them, we're delighted to bring to you this panel with insights that are coming directly from the classroom and school settings. So we all know that a year and a half ago, in March, the lockdown in Rwanda resulted in school closures that left over 2 million primary and secondary school learners and their teachers grappling with how to continue teaching and learning remotely. Now, VVOB collaborates with REB, Rwanda Basic Education Board, and URCE, the University of Rwanda College of Education, to deliver certified CPD courses to strengthen distributed leadership by equipping school leaders and teachers with the competencies to fulfill their roles and facilitate school-based CPD. IEE works with passionate youth with an interest in education and nurtures their interest through their teacher assistant program, through capacity building and exposure to teaching, through teaching assistantships. Aspiring teachers are identified and pathwayed into the teaching profession. Eneza Education digitizes the national curriculum in bite-sized modules and distributes these modules via SMS. Eneza's Ask a Teacher platform supplements existing radio and TV educational programming, linking students to teachers. Today, you will hear each panelist share how learning and teaching, as well as in-service teacher education, was made possible during the lockdown. I just want to flag some housekeeping items for those who are joining online. So if, when the floor is given to you, please unmute your microphone, and please mute it if you're not speaking. When given the floor, do put on your video and microphone. There is interpretation available in English and French. So if you are on the Zoom link at the bottom, is the globe icon at the bottom of the screen, which can allow you to follow the session in the preferred language. There's also a chat function to add any additional comments you have to ask for the floor. and do use the raise hand function or raise your hand physically if you are in the room to request to take the floor. Thank you very much, and over to you, Ruth.
Thank you so much, Isabel. Thank you, and thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, for this special session. And again, I would say that you're most welcome for the 13th Policy Dialogue Forum, where we're going to hear from our panelists much of their class-based, school-based, and implementing partners' experiences, especially during COVID-19 school closures. All know that that time students, learners, parents, everyone on board was just confused. This came when everyone is not prepared, really, but thanks to the education actors, stakeholders that came on board, really responded quickly to support continuous learning, to support really that even teachers are not forgotten, learners who are locked in their homes are not forgotten. So we are going to hear how this really went, and our panelists will be ready to answer any questions after that. And I would like to highlight that the Mastercard Foundation has also really came forward to support with the COVID-19 resilience and recovery and resilience program, where we worked with different partners, with government to come quickly to support continuity of learning and teaching. So right now, I would really, again, welcome our panel. Here we have Betty on my left, Betty Kavira from IEE, which is Inspire, Empower and Educate Rwanda. It's an implementing partner, one of our current under leaders and teaching partners, and she's been taking us through how this experience went from her side as they're implementing to support continuity of learning for young people in secondary education. We also have Father Joseph Nduwayezu. Father Joseph, we are really happy to see you here, and as I mentioned, you're going to hear live from the at school level as a head teacher in one of the schools in Western Province of Rwanda. His experience, how the lockdown and school closures treated him and other colleagues and other stakeholders around him. Thirdly, we have Justine. Justine on my left here again. Justine is also an experienced and passionate classroom teacher from Maranyundo Girls School, and she's going to tell us more as a teacher, a classroom teacher, how she experienced this pandemic consequences and how they came quickly to support continuity of learning. I'll quickly hand over to Betty to tell us about her experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ruth, and the moderator. And good morning and good afternoon, those who are following us online. It's really great to be part of this very panel. As Ruth mentioned very well, I remember very well when COVID hit Rwanda. Rwanda was not exceptional. Of course, it was part and parcel of, the chaos that really hit the whole world globally, I would say. And of course, education was one of the sectors that was really highly affected. And as an implementing partner, we couldn't just sit like that. And thanks to, of course, to Mastercard Foundation, who also came on board and said, yes, we have something we can do. And as Ruth mentioned, all schools were closed. And as I did say, all sectors were affected, and more so education was one of the sectors that was really partly affected, partially. So for that matter, you find Mastercard and the IE, we came on board and we had to think of the remedy for that. And as a result, we thought of the project or the program called recovery and resilience program, whereby we had to think twice, what else can we do? And the only thing that we could do was to think of the remote learning. And the remote learning, of course, came in place to fill the gap. Remember, as I mentioned, students were at home. They are all locked down at home. They were not going to schools because of the challenge, of course, we are all undergoing. So remote came on board, whereby Rwanda Education Board, in partnership with, of course, with Mastercard Foundation and other stakeholders. And in fact, I can't even forget even RBA, because all these lessons that we developed right from pre-primary up to even to TTC up to senior 6, they were all helped. So one of the significance part I would say is that the education, I would say, continued. In other words, all learning and teaching went in place. There was nothing that really stopped. Learning continued because it was online. I would also mention that one thing that really was so beneficial was that not only did the learners benefit, even the teachers themselves, they also benefited, because the fact remains that they were at home. We had just very few teachers who were part and parcel of the remote learning, but they also gained in the sense that they were learning from their colleagues. They were learning from other teachers who were live. Others were, remember, it was some were audio and others were visual. So some of the teachers who are following online were really following what was taking place. And I would say one of the significance is that they also gained a lot. They really gained some of the different practices, the best practices that their colleagues were doing in classes. So I would say it was such a great opportunity that they really participated. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Betty. Thank you. That was really nice to share with us your experiences on this context. And I would quickly go to Father Joseph. Father Joseph, as I said, is a classroom teacher from one of the schools in Eastern Province, Saint Bruno, Gihundwe in Rusizi district. And Father Joseph is going to tell us his experience as a classroom teacher, as a head teacher rather, how he went through this, this time of COVID-19 and school closures. Please go ahead and tell us, how did you really respond, I would say, to keep the continuity of learning? And specifically, this was about head teachers and continuity of CPDs online. Thank you.
Thanks. I'm Father Joseph Ukunda. As Loth said, come from a Western province. I'm a head teacher. So during a COVID-19 period, I saw some parents and kids called me and asked me, how can we run? Then I asked myself, how can we remain the mode of education, the school mode? So I asked to my deputy head teacher to organize the continuous professional development in order to help the teachers to be enhanced in skills and knowledge in education. So the teachers accepted. Then we asked the teachers to have the session in their departments, those who are in mathematics, in the sciences, in the languages, and the arts. They met on their group WhatsApp. They prepared the lessons. They shared those lessons to the learners and the kids and the parents. Then to the parents and the learners, we saw the feedback. And now teacher was able to explain where there is a challenge. Then after sending those lessons, the teachers send the questions through a WhatsApp group, and we have a software which is called Urubuto. It's where we send the messages without paying any money. Then the parents and the kids give us the feedback. Then we saw it was good. And then after reopening, we see that our kids were in the mode of education. And it was a good experience for us using the online courses where the teachers go together and they transmit the courses. And we do now, we mixture with the system we have habitually, but we use also that that ICT tools to teach and to remain in the mode of our education. So during that period of a pandemic of COVID-19, for us it was, I can say, we were with our kids and with our parents. The mode of education has we were in that mode. There was no gap, if I say. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Father Joseph. And really good to hear about how the distributed leadership really came on board to support opportunity of learning. And of course, we shall hear more again how it happened when it comes to the continuity of CPD and teacher training or head teachers. I would quickly go to Justine. Justine, as I mentioned, she's a classroom teacher from Maranyundo Girls School. She's teaching computer science and mathematics. And we're going to hear from the host's mouth how the continuity of learning looked like when from her school. And she's going to tell us more about the Eneza education platform. So this is an edtech platform that really supported the teachers. And this was Ask a Teacher platform. And Justine, could you please tell us how the Eneza education platform helped the continuity of remote learning? Thank you.
Thank you very much. As my colleague said, I'm called Justine. I am a teacher at Maranyundo Girls School. I also working with Eneza Education in partnership with the Mastercard Foundation. During COVID time, like other institutions in education, Eneza Education has tried to find out how runners may continue running at their home due to the schools were closed. Students were not able to go at school. It is in this context where Eneza Education digitized the national curriculum in bite-sized modules and distributed these modules via SMS delivered to anyone. However, basically for P1 to S3 in the country, this is helpful to the runners to revise their lessons as well as they were at home. This is also supplemented the launched education initiative government like radio and television, which will continue helping students to running during lockdowns due to COVID-19. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Justine, letting us know about the Eneza education platform and the SMS-based platform, how it works to support continuity of learning. I would quickly come back to Betty from IEE as an implementing partner. Betty, you mentioned about working closely with the media like RBA, other radio station to broadcast and air or the lessons and working with the government. But what was the perception of parents? Did you get any feedback? How was it when it came to remote learning? Thank you.
Thank you so much, moderator. It's very right that parents had, of course, perception, how they perceived remote learning. I would first of all give my experience as an educator, but more so as even a parent, because I also had children at home. And remember, as I mentioned earlier on, it was lockdown, we were all at home. So first and foremost, my perception as a parent, before I even look at other parents, was it was very, very, very positive. It was very helpful because, as I mentioned, we had nothing else to do apart from working with our children at home. So I would say this very program, the Recovery and Resilience Program, came at the right time because, as I mentioned, we didn't have anything else to do apart from working with our children. And because this very program came on board, children, first of all, were not reluctant, were not just doing nothing at home. They were really involved, they were really participating. So as parents, I would say it was very helpful to us. It came at the right time. It almost solved the boredom of sitting at home without doing anything. So in actual sense, I would say even the rest of the parents, it was so helpful. As I did mention, this very program covered right from pre-primary up to even to TTCs, whereby some of the feedback that we got, some of the teachers, some of the parents were even calling. As I said, REB was involved, of course, and RBA, Rwanda Broadcasting Agency, and they were asking almost every week, because you find REB every week could come up with the timetables, and some of the parents would call because we had even online number, and they would call and ask, oh, which lessons are we having this week, so that they really follow. And one thing I would say, parents were not just seated reluctantly, they were not really doing nothing, they were really very supportive. They helped even to check the work, because at the end of the day, they were given the assignment. So the role of the parent was really very vivid as well. It was really tangible. It was very helpful because they helped them even during the assignment of what they were doing. So I would say the perception was very, very tangible and very positive, even giving my personal experience, as I mentioned, because I had someone from senior 6 and she was really very supported on my side. So I would say generally, Mrs. Medleta, it was very positive. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Betty. That was really clear. Thank you for letting us know the perception of parents. I think we shall get more questions online and even from ladies and gentlemen in the room. Of course, afterwards shall have time for questions to ask panelists to understand more about their understanding on different approaches that used during this pandemic. I would want to go quickly again to Justine. Justine, you mentioned that under the Eneza education platform, you used SMS-based to support continuity of learning. So is this platform still live? Is it still helpful for learners? Thank you.
Yes, Eneza education Yes, Eneza education still helpful for students, runners, even parents. Since schools were reopened, students still asking questions to online teachers, and they used that platform as well as they revise their lessons as well as they are at home. So during COVID-19, Eneza education provide a free access to that platform to all runners, where all students from P1 to A6 are allowed to ask their questions to online teachers, and they given the answer in the maximum of 5 minutes. Was very, very helpful because students get response via their mobile phone, basically at zero cost. That was very, very helpful. And that program is still really helpful for this moment, even if schools were reopened. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Justine. I think it's good to hear that the platform is still helpful for learners. So I think that's one thing with very important with the remote learning. Even students can still be ask teachers questions during even weekend, anytime. So good to hear that. Maybe the audience would hear more from you in the Q&A time. So I would like to again ask Father Joseph, a head teacher. As a head teacher, Father Joseph, how is distributed leadership really help you as a head teacher and other stakeholders like the district or even teachers? Yeah, thank you very much.
I'm very grateful to be formed by VVOB, helping by Mastercard Foundation. Firstly, we led the school through 5 standards in effective leadership. The first one is creating the school direction. The second is reading, running. The third, reading, teaching. The fourth is monitoring the school as an organization. And the fifth is working with stakeholders. So among those stakeholders, first we share all the responsibility. Then I, as a teacher, I work and my activities are very easy because we share and we work as a group, we work as a family, we work as a team. So according to our stakeholders, I can mention some of them. For example, the deputy head teacher. According to him, he conducts the continuous professional developments. He elaborates a timetable of the school. Then he follows for the assessment in our schools. Then at school, we have also the school-based mentor. He helps our deputy of study in conducting those continuous professional development. Then we have the school subject readers. Those they work in the departments. In their departments, they go and they enhance the skills and the knowledge of the subject they give in our school. Then we have also our teachers. I thank our teachers because they have taken well the responsibilities. They are the chiefs of their tasks. In part, a part of teaching, they help us in the discipline of our kids at school. They participate in the groups of youth in our schools. Then we have the runners also. The runners are the chiefs of the youth groups at the school. We have the parents. For example, we have a school general assembly commitment of the parents. They come, they give us their opinion. they give us the other helps. For example, they help us to feed their kids and to breed some breedings in our schools. Then I see if I had not attempted the sessions given with VVOB, now I can be, I don't know how I could read the school, but now I'm hopeful. I have the members to help me, and I see in our school there is a good enthusiasm. Everyone wants is easy. His work is easy. Thanks.
Thank you so much again, Father Joseph, for telling us how distributed leadership at school level really worked and how this really helped continuity of CPD online and continuity of learning. So that means that all the head teachers, even the education actors at school level, didn't stop. So you continued learning through the remote learning. Thank you so much. Betty, as an implementer in this case, you mentioned about all the good things with the remote learning, how it helped young people not stay at home, redundant, but continued learning. Could you please indicate some of the challenges that you encountered in this process? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ruth, again. You are very right that, yes, remote learning came as a solution, but on the other hand, we of course encountered some of the challenges. Remember, I did mention that these lessons right from pre-primary to even to TTC level, because it was covering all the levels, of course, we had so many challenges. Some, of course, not all, but remember, it was some were online, visually, others were even done audially. So you find, of course, I did a great thanks to REB and UR. They distributed some of the radios to those rural areas where they couldn't even have the TV. Of course, some of the families you find they don't have television. So as a resolution, they had distributed radios to those remote areas. But the fact remains that you find the connectivity was one of the challenges. You would find, they would call and say, I can't really follow well. I can't really follow very well. I'm having a challenge of the connectivity. So maybe I would say that was one of the challenges that we really counted, because those ones who could not really access via television, at least they managed to use the radios. But as I mentioned, they all had the radios, but the connectivity was one of the challenges that I would really highlight, that really stood out, but not really to a big number. I would say it was somehow managed, but at least those are some of the feedback that we received as one of the challenges. I would say it was somehow managed. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Betty. Hello? Okay. Betty, you mentioned the challenge of, again, proximity when it comes to distribution of tools. Of course, parents, a big population of young people in remote areas. And you mentioned how the stakeholders came on board, REB and University of Rwanda College of Education, I think, to support in this. So do you see, I think the training or the radio, the lessons, were they in English or Chinyarwanda? Because I presume that would be another challenge. Help me understand that. Thank you.
Thank you again, Ruth. As I mentioned, it covered the continuity of learning, covered all the levels. You find like nursery, pre-primary to P3, it was in Rwanda. whereby they could follow very well using their mother tongue, of course. But P4 to up to senior 6 and TTC, it was purely in English. But as you know, English is now a medium of instruction. So they really followed very well. They were the same way, even when we have, a face-to-face classroom situation. So it was not really different. Thank you.
Thank you, Betty. Thank you so much. Again, our viewers and audience, we are ready for questions later on. You can again remind the online listeners to put your questions on chat for the Q&A time. Again, Justine, thank you. I think we are going for another question here. You told us about Eneza education platform and the SMS-based platform that as teachers used to really answer questions to different learners. How do you please indicate some of the challenges that are associated with this platform?
Thank you, Rose. Thank you, my colleague. Eneza education SMS-based learning is very important to the learners because it is free for the students. This means that a student can ask his question and is given an answer without any charges. So this is very helpful for those learners who were not able to continue learning during COVID-19 due to the access of internet. And because of using mobile phones, Eneza education faced with some challenges, like many students may not have access to their phones. This is maybe because of financial means within families, but also it can be caused with the parents who were not yet consider mobile phones as a study tools who can help the learners to facilitate them to the lessons. Thank you.
Thank you, Justine. A follow-up question on that. Yes, I think it was, vivid that some of the households didn't have even a single phone to use. But apart from that, so like parent, you mentioned about how this SMS-based platform helped parents as well to interact with the learners. How do you have any complaint or any challenges with parents using the phones that to support their young ones or learners in the household?
Yes. Yes, you think you're right. Actually, the nature how the platform is organized, it allows to the runners their prosperity to be engaged, to be effectively engaged, but also it allows to the runners to monitor their progress, to see how many lessons the runners are able to complete, to see also how many questions the runners are able to ask it. And this is very directly informed to the parents where the runners get stuck and where they should make more efforts. So that is very important for us teachers, even for the runners also, but for the parents. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Justine, for clarifying that. Father Joseph, if I come to you again, we all understand that our education is decentralized. So as a head teacher and as the whole entire school ecosystem, you work with the stakeholders. How were they really responsive in this time of pandemic to support the continuity of learning and teaching?
Okay. As I have said, in this period of COVID-19 pandemics, we have seen the arms of from the different stakeholders. For example, I said, as we wanted to remain the mode of education, mode of the school, through the questions asked by the parents on their kids. We asked them what they can help to us to remain that mode. So the first thing we asked to the parents is to make a sensitization of their kids to follow for the reasons which passed on the radio and the television. And to even these parents, we asked to them to such the means that, for example, the radio at home, to have the phone. As we had the Urubuto software, it is a software where when a parent or kids saw a message, the replying is for free, but the school paid, but it's not enough, it is not expensive. Then, for example, at the level of the district, we asked to the directors of education at the district level. There was some radios they gave to the people. We asked them firstly to begin for those we know in our schools, the parents who cannot have access on the radio. I think it was a good example, and they did. Then after, those from a district now, they came and they monitor and they assess our schools, and they give the guidance of what they remark. Thanks.
Thank you for that, Joseph. Thank you very much. I think so many things happened that time because at the school level as a head teacher, and of course the different innovations, you had to work closely with the different stakeholders. Like we have the education inspectors at the district, and then at the sector level, then we have the district education officers. All these we are supposed also, no matter if the lockdown was here, and of course the innovation in remote learning and teaching was really provided. Apart from maybe other challenges you might think of, but when it came to the stakeholders being part and parcel of teaching and learning remotely, do you please indicate at sector level or district level, what were some of the challenges to support the opportunity of teaching or learning? Thank you.
Okay. For example, before COVID, the sector education inspector came frequently at school because it was allowed. He monitored the class, the schools. He helped us. He gave us the advices. He conducted some CPDs, but in the lockdown, it was not allowed. But we wanted, and we put him on our group WhatsApp to support us. He saws our ideas, and he is the one who reads a lot of CPDs on our groups. Even at the level of the district, we thank our directors of education in our district, because every time they asked us to give feedback of what we have done. Then after seeing what we gave them to them, they give us the advice. So the challenge was their presence, the real presence. But to overcome those challenges via group WhatsApp and our router software, they saw what we did, and they give us the good advices. Thanks.
Thank you very much for clarifying that to us, Father Joseph. I have another question following up on that. I think now, right now, schools are open. I think even physical trainings are allowed. So have you stopped that approach of the online learning?
Thanks. I have said, even if we had COVID, but through COVID, we have gotten the good experiences. It is another way of teaching, and it is very, very fruitful. So even today, we use our group. Even it is my second day here. I saw on our group the district director of education. Even today, yesterday, has sent a message through the activities we have done in our school. He gave us a good advices. So we are very experienced. It is a good experience, and we cannot stop it. We are in it. Thanks.
Wow, thank you, I think, for mentioning that the COVID-19 gave us an opportunity to learn and be focused, and really great experiences that going to continue even if our schools are open. Even teachers or stakeholder education actors are supposed to meet in person, but you're going to continue strengthen the remote learning, which is very, very important. I think this time I would give it to our audience, both online and in person here, to ask questions. Please, thank you.
Hi, Ruth. Are you able to hear me or see me? Hello, Ruth.
Hi, Isabel. Thank you. I hope you have been following us.
Yes.
Okay, the panelists have finished the discussions, and we're now turning to the audience to get questions. And please let us know if you have other questions online. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. So we actually have two questions online. One is from Etienne Nioyita. Etienne Nioyita would like to ask what lesson has each panelist learned from the COVID-19 pandemic, which can help them prepare for any other pandemic. So that's the first question. The second question is from Linda Devlin, and the question is, what innovations put in place during the pandemic will you sustain for your future leadership practice? So those are the two questions. Can you confirm if you've heard them?
Yes, Sabia, thank you very much for reading aloud. Everyone has heard really well, and I would give microphone to one of the panelists to start with Betty here on my left.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, dear ladies and gentlemen. It's very true that we had lessons at IE, of course, as we are implementing this innovative recovery and resilience program. We had, of course, some lessons that were learned. My colleague did mention, Father Joseph, that, of course, COVID taught us. It's true, it really came, it ambushed us, I would say. But on the other hand, we had to learn some lessons. So some of the lessons that we learned are, it's very true that we have to embrace blended learning, whereby if things are really good the way that we are now, why not even continue with face-to-face or in-person? And if things also change, like the way we had the ambush of COVID-19, why not even embrace even remote learning or virtually? So I would say one way that we really learned, or one thing that we learned and we feel, almost leading me to the second question, is that we are going to maintain the blended learning. I would say at IE, blended learning is the way to go. And I believe even globally, blended learning should be something that we should all embrace, whereby if things are really well, as I mentioned, we continue the other way of having face-to-face or in-person. And if things change, we also continue, we just switch. To be just a matter of switching from in-person and sometimes even virtually. So I would say this is not one thing that we are going to stop, but we are going to maintain this one. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Betty. Father Joseph, would you continue?
Okay. We have seen we had the experience without class approach, without being in the class. We can also studying, can also teaching. So through the COVID-19 pandemic, we see now with the ICT, we have to enhance our skills. We have to study for every time and teach every time. So what we have to do now is to continue that line of ICT teaching. Then we have to sensitize to the parents to have the tools which can help their kids even when the teacher is not at school. We have seen that it is very easy to teacher to give what he teaches to a kid when he is in class and when he is at home, because a kid sent a message through where he has not understood well, and the teacher respond. And the day after, when they arrive in class, it is very easy. So the lesson we got from a corona pandemic is that we cannot stop what we have gotten as teaching, even if the kids are not in the class. Thanks.
All right. Go ahead, Madam Justine.
Thank you. As my colleague said, COVID-19 taught us, all of us, I mean teachers, students, even parents. I would just to thank for our government, where it just always encouraging students and teachers to use ICT in learning. So I would thank for where it puts its effort for putting running smart classroom at many schools where students and teachers may access internet and may access website during the running activities. So as COVID pandemic were overcome, they are using ICT in teaching were as considered as only response for the student being able to continue running at home. So here, even if still in COVID pandemic is still there, we are always supposing to using ICT whenever we are teaching, even if COVID-19 we're out of coverage. Here I want to emphasizing the ways of Eneza educations supporting to all runners for the platform, where it allows to them to ask the users, the learners, the online teachers to the questions, and they give the answers in few minutes. So this is how we can keep going running with COVID-19 pandemic.
Thank you very much. Isabel, I hope questions have been answered.
Yes.
And
just one compliment from Cyprien to compliment on what Justine just shared. Cyprien, if you can please unmute.
Okay, I have done. Okay, thank you so much. I'm Cyprien Bunani, the country program manager for Eneza Education Rwanda. So as you are saying, really COVID-19 taught us a lot of things. So what we are doing is just to build a strong educational system that can resist to any shock or disruption. So for example, Eneza Education has worked with REB to help runners to access the entire curriculum via phones, however, phone at zero cost, as well as the students have been given the opportunity to interact with the online teachers so that they can ask different questions to the teachers. So we'll continue in that line just to contribute to the build of a strong, resilient educational system here in Rwanda that can just help to be resilient to end shock or disruption. Thank you.
right. Thank you very much, Spirie. I think we have other questions in-house here. Please go on and ask questions.
Thank you, Mrs. the Moderator. I'm going to ask my question in French, please. Merci, Madame la Modératrice.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I would like to say, first of all, that I am very impressed with the experiences that were shared by the panelists. I would like to thank UNESCO for giving us this very enriching opportunity, and I have a few questions for Father Joseph. Father Joseph has shared a very interesting experience with us, and I would like to ask him how he managed to get all the teachers on board. How did you manage to make them accept because they were given no other choice, or because the role of head teacher actually worked? Secondly, did you find that there was resistance to change? Because after all, these are new tools that teachers had to use, and they were not necessarily prepared for this. And finally, what is the motivation strategy that was used so that teachers were ready to use these new tools? Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm going to answer that in French as well. When there's something new, there's always resistance. And we tried to see how to overcome this resistance. I was lucky because I was trained by VVOB, and we had received information, a lot of information, and we were told what to do if there were constraints. We were told how to go about it. So I called the staff of the school, and we sat together and decided on what our strategy would be. We got all the teachers together. We started a WhatsApp conversation, and we exchanged messages. We received and sent information. And after doing that, we got different reactions. And in the reactions, we wanted to see what we could do with our school, how to go about it with this new situation. Well, the first resistance was to see how they were going to find the children. And we said, we'll take care of that, don't worry. And secondly, they said that they didn't have enough megabytes for this WhatsApp group. So we said that we would make sure that we had everyone on WhatsApp and that the group worked. So we took care of a lot of things, and we said from 1 to 2 p.m. everyone should be there. So they came, they connected. Now for motivating them, I saw that our teachers were indeed very motivated. We wanted this, and we want to make sure that our children succeed. We are quite ambitious, and that is why we all always work together. There is a lot of motivation. We wanted to really come together as a group and achieve our objectives. Thank you.
Do you have any additions, or Betty, to the questions? Okay, can we have another question?
Good morning. I'm Florian, and I came from the University of Rwanda College of Education. And those who don't know, College of Education is the only institution, public institution in charge of pre-service teacher training. From yesterday, I'm enjoying the presentations, and this morning, the presentation is very useful as far as leading, teaching amid of the COVID-19 pandemic is concerned. I really appreciate Mastercard, which accepted to lead this session. and at the same time, the panelists from different institutions who shared their experience with us this morning. I have followed with a keen interest, of course, because I found that this innovation based on electronics and digital technologies are very important to mitigate the challenge brought about by this disruption due to the pandemic. So we are called to work in a new normal where we have to be innovative so that we can continue providing the services. And here it is about learning. I have some few questions. I have two questions that each of the panelists can try to answer. And I have two other questions. One will be for Father Joseph and another will be for Justine. The first question is, yes, it is a good option to support learning with these technologies, software or some devices like TV or radio distributed in a remote area. That is wonderful. My concern is maybe by not reaching all potential beneficiaries, here learners and families in need. These can amplify the digital divide, those who continue to learn and those who can't access learning because the means that are used are not accessible to them. So how do you see it and how this challenge can be mitigated? Second question for all of you. Yes, you have implemented and you are promising or just you are informing that these tools continue to serve learning. What kind of feedback did you get from beneficiaries? I can specify schools, district, parent, and learners. And how do you think it can be used to improve the implementation of these innovative ideas to support learning? Is that clear? There is a feedback possibly you received from learners, from parent, from school, and what can that feedback inspire you or help you to improve so that maybe we avoid facing the same challenge? The question to Father Joseph about how you started implementing this digital technology through Urubuto software so that lessons can be distributed to learners, of course, lesson designed by teachers. I liked that you first of all thought of training teachers so that they can have skills to work with this new software because they were not familiar with them. Yes, teachers have been trained. Then how did you support learners so that they can also start using this software? Because before the pandemic, there were physical classes. So learners weren't ready that learning should be done in another mode and through a software which require maybe some devices, computer or mobile phone. So I want to hear what kind of support did you provide for learners so that they can be ready to learn using this new mode? The question to Justine. Yes, you have shared with us some challenges, especially for learners without phones. And probably that this was due to financial constraints. Some families not able to buy phones or not having phones already. But I learned from you that some parents were not ready maybe to give their mobile to their learners so that they can learn. So when you realize that this is a challenge, what kind of support have you provided for this parent? Because it is a kind of awareness that this is needed for learners to continue learning. Thank you.
Yeah, panelists, please go ahead and answer. There's no order, and can start.
Thank you. I would like to come on the first question, which is based on how those students who were not able to continue learning during to financial access or internet access. This is as Eneza education platform was solved this issue by using SMS running platform, where this SMS running platform is for free to the runners. This means that in Eneza education SMS platform, students can ask a question and give an answer for free without any charge. Another way that Eneza education solved to this issue, it provided a platform. That platform, learners may access it for free. There they can ask the questions to the two online teachers, and the answer also may given without any cost. This is also may given without cost via to the mobile phones. Quickly, I will come to this next question, which talked about the feedback from the runners. Yes, there is a feedback from our runners or our students, because we have some students who has appreciated Eneza education due to the revision via Eneza education. These students rate to be high in the fifth of during national exam leaving primary school. This is grateful that Eneza education helped the runners during the revision at home. So I would come also back to the last question, which talked about the support to the parents who will not yet consider a mobile phones as a study tools. This I would like to invite Mr. Sprian, who is online, just for helping me together answering these questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Justine. Yes, we have seen the parents who don't have a positive attitude to give the phones to their runners so that they can run. So what we have done, we have done different awareness campaigns with the parents. So we used different radio programs, including Radio Rwanda, RB, as well as other social media to reach out the parents so that they can just give the phones to their parents. So in addition to that, the phones that we are requesting the parents to use, it's affordable phones, because we need to reach out many students as possible. So this is the reason why we are emphasizing to use even the feature phones can access our platform. As Justine said, we are even for the students, it's free. And about the feedback, as Justine said, so we have used impact assessment, or we have done what you call a telephonic survey. So we have talked to the parents via phones. So we wanted to check whether our program is very significant to them. So they really gave the parents themselves, they give a positive feedback. They have been requesting us to make it sustainable, so that they can use the platform. Even the COVID-19 is not there, because even the students themselves, they have indicated the significance of the program. As Justine said, we had a student who had had a fifth position in the country in national examination, who has really mentioned about our platform that was very helpful during the COVID-19. So basically, we know that we have many children from low income families. So this is the reason we are making sure that the students can use affordable phones, even feature phones, to access our platform, even for free, without internet. Yeah, that's it from me. Thank you. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Spiria, for the additions. Professor Joseph, you please respond to the questions.
Thanks. When we used those ICT tools, we knew there was some of our learners in their families who has not that accessibility. But we knew them after the opening of the schools. We try to make the review for those who has fraud, but there was the others who has not fraud. So with some partnerships, we have been helped about the remedial courses, the catch up. So we preserved the time, provided time, extra time for those who have not attended the schools during COVID-19 pandemics. So you can take, for example, Saturday, or in the morning when the other go at home, can remain with them, especially in the holidays, where with those who have not participated. It is how we have overcome to that challenge. Thanks.
Thank you so much. On addition to what my colleagues have just mentioned, one thing that I believe, you can't really overcome a challenge alone. In other words, the challenge that we had, whereby we had to fix this very challenge, it called for all different stakeholders. We did mention it earlier on, whereby I did mention about different stakeholders like University of Rwanda. They came on board, Rwanda Basic Education Board. They are also on board, of course, plus other stakeholders, whereby we made a survey and we highlighted some of the districts, the rural districts that some of the parents couldn't really afford having even a radio at home. So those are the districts that we took these radios, whereby I would say, though I talked about the challenge of connectivity, but it wasn't really all that throughout, because remember, it was almost took about more than 3 months having remote learning, whereby, as I mentioned, pre-primary benefited, nursery, primary mention also benefited, and so was even up to senior 6 and the TTCs. So it wasn't all that all the districts are not really helped. Those who could not afford having a television, at least they are in position of having a radio. And those who couldn't, as I mentioned, the Rwanda Education Board and UR came on board and supported and provided those radios so that at least they can be in position of following. Another question that you did ask was the feedback. In my previous talk, I did mention that it was the perception was so positive. I gave my personal experience. Remember, they were all in lockdown. They were all at home. We are all indoor, I would say. There was nothing like going home. So in other words, I would say students did give positive feedback, parents gave feedback, positive feedback, and even the teachers, as I did mention. So even the rest of the partners, whereby they all embraced having remote learning, because as I did mention earlier on, it came at the right time because we didn't know what to do. Parents didn't know what to do, but the only remedy was having remote learning. So the feedback was, it was very helpful. It helped. Maybe one thing I didn't mention was that it continued from where they had stopped. If I'm not mistaken, we continued from the second term. So in other words, it was a continuation of where the teachers, face-to-face teachers, had stopped. So it wasn't something new. It wasn't just not planned. It was planned. And remember, it was a continuation of where the face-to-face teachers had stopped. So the feedback was really, I would say, it was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, panelists, for responding to the questions from the principal. Principal, I hope you have been answered. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, panelists. My name is Marianne Kigundu. I'm the Country Programs Manager for VVOB in Rwanda. My question is to you, Justine, on this Ask an Online Teacher platform, which I found quite fascinating. The question I still have is thinking of, as we go back to school and that classroom experience, that school experience, to what extent does this online Ask a Teacher contradict, complement, or replace the school experience or what is being taught at school?
As I said, the Ask a Teacher platform is still working. We still have a significant numbers of questions from runners where they ask for us the questions and they used to give them the answer in the short time. So for now, the platform is still working. I don't know if you get it well.
Yeah, I can give a compliment to Justine. Can you hear me? Okay, thank you so much. If I can give the compliment to Justine, basically the Ask a Teacher is supplementing the other educational initiatives in Rwanda. For example, even though we have teacher online waiting the questions from the runners, so we know that the great percentage of schools that we have in Rwanda, it's day schools. So when the students went back home from schools, so they're given opportunities to ask the questions or clarifications of the lesson that they have learned from schools. So which means that the students after schools, when they come from school, I'm just talking this time when the schools are opened. So if the students, for example, are reading textbooks at home, so they find out the difficulties, so they are given a chance to ask online teachers so that they can be given answers for for the difficulties that they have in running. So Ask a Teacher program is really complementing the existing schools, and it is supporting the runners revise their lessons. And as Justine said, we have also already taken the curriculum. So far, we have taken P4 up to S3 curriculum. So that curriculum was summarized into a content management system, bite-sized, in such a way that content can be seen via mobile phones, even feature phones in terms of SMSs. So for example, if the students are running from home, if the students are anywhere, so they can revise their lessons by using phones. So I can confidently say that the program, both Ask a Teacher and that content that we have summarized into a CMS, are complementing the schools, and they are supporting the runners to run when they are at home, so that they can improve their running outcomes. I think I have answered that.
Thank you so much.
Sorry, we don't have much time left. We have maybe 2 minutes to the hour, but if you will allow me to just share a final question from the group, and it's from Sheila. I'm just going to scroll up. She's asking, so Sheila Mbabazi is asking, how did children with special benefits, with special needs benefit from the remote program? So if one of the panelists or two can answer in just a minute, that would be great. Over to you. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Sheila, for that nice question. I did mention earlier on that remote learning came on board to cater for all levels, to cater for everybody, including even those children, those students who with social special needs, whereby we had interpreters with the sign languages. So those ones are also catered for, which was really very, very powerful. And from the feedback that we had, they were saying, well, we are not, I'm happy that we are not left alone, because they're not left alone even during the sessions. One thing that I had not maybe mentioned is that the feedback, among the feedback was where some of these children, even with these disabilities, they also even had to say that it was helpful to them, because there is a tendency of maybe going with those ones without any special need and forgetting them. But this time around, it was so helpful. It catered for them. They were not left outside. They were not left alone. So in other words, they are all catered for. They were helped, and it was so powerful. Thank you.
Justine, you have a response for that? Quick, just in a second.
So thank you. Another addition about that is that always using ICT in education, it is helpful for, even if COVID continue to be disturbing, runners may be accessing the runners as well as they are at home or even as they are in a class. Thank you.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I think at the top of the hour, and I would quickly let Isabel wrap up the session. Thank you very much. Over to you, Isabel.
Thank you very much, Ruth. Wow, what an insightful panel! What an insightful last, hour and a half. Thank you to our panelists for making the time to come and share your wonderful experiences with us. Some key takeaways are, one, and it was mentioned before by Mrs. Kavera, embracing remote learning and embracing hybrid learning, blended learning, and that being, the future. the other takeaway is really thinking about how to have an inclusive education and to ensure that learning is continued and that CPD is continued. And I think that the lessons that VVOB shared around how the leadership does not have to rest on one single person, the head teacher or the head mistress or headmaster, but instead really relying on school-based mentors and relying on district education leaders and sector education leaders to ensure that teachers are prepared and to ensure that education continuity is happening. And finally, I take away the importance of digital and digital connectivity and low-cost digital means like Eneza Education Solution, SMS-based platform that really allows and provides access to most students. And these are powerful takeaways. Thank you so much once again. Thank you to Ruth for moderating in person and for all our colleagues who are in the room supporting to make this a success. I will end here and just say thank you once again. There is one question that we did not get to answer from Ngabonzima, and they were really great questions, but what I will do is just connect you to the panelists so you can receive answers directly from them. Thank you, and over to you, Ruth.
Oh, thank you so much for wrapping our session, Isabel. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen in-house. And just an announcement, we are having a break upstairs, and we shall have a plenary thereafter in the Kilimanjaro Hall. Thank you very much, all of you, and special thanks to UNESCO team here in the room for facilitating. Bless you.